Right. Good morning, all. So today we'll be starting our practicals actually. So now uh, today's lesson I'll be anyway recording it. So then I'll be sharing that video with you guys, but don't expect me to do it every day, right? So since I see only very few people in the class, I thought of recording it, right? Uh, so next week I will not be doing that. So therefore, better to be at least by here by 8:45, right? Okay. So first, I want you guys to open up the Cisco packet tracer software. So that is what we are actually going to use through the program for our rest of the weeks, right? So first open it up. So what you can do is you can go to the search bar, then you can type Cisco packet tracer, then you can search it, then you can double click and you can open it up. Before you open it, make sure that you have turned off your Wi-Fi. Otherwise, they'll ask you to sign in, right? Right. Okay. So now today, just to get start with, will be just creating a small branch of our organization actually. So that's what I'll be planning to do today. So first, what I'm going to do is before take any of the networking devices or anything, first I'm going to write down what are the different IP addresses, VLAN information, and the department names that we are going to have in our network, right? So that's what we are going to do. So for that, you can go ahead and select this notepad icon, right? So on the top section of your screen, there's a notepad icon like this. You can just click on that notepad icon, and then you can then you'll be getting a cursor like this. So then you can just click wherever you want. So then it will open up a text box, right? So in the text box, first I'll be writing few information. Let's say we'll have a network with let's say 4 departments, right? So let's say we have our department 1 and we have our net ID. I'll give the IP address information, right? We'll use 192.168 1 dot let's say 0, right? Uh, and then subnet mask. So for this experiment, we'll use FLSM, right? So we'll use subnet mask as 255, 255.0. Then we have to have our default gateway. Once I have finished typing this, it's actually going to increase the size so then you can see it better, right? Default gateway is 192.168.1.1. What else? The usable range, right? Usable range is 192.168.1.2 to 192.168.1.254, and the VLAN ID is we'll use the VLAN ID as 10, right? So these are the IP address information for the department 1, right? So after that, I'm going to go ahead and select the selection tool, and I'm going to double click on this text box and I'm going to copy the content. Then again, I'm going to open up a text box by using this notepad icon, and then I'll paste it here and I'll just rename, edit the information that we have here. So department 1 is going to become department 2, and net ID 192.168.1.0 is going to become 2.0, and default gateway of 1.1 is going to become 2.1, and the usable range of 1.2 is going to be 2.2, and 1.254 is going to be 2.254, and the VLAN ID is going to be 20. Once you have typed that, then if you want to get rid of this notepad icon, what you can do is a text box creation tool. You can simply press escape key in your keyboard, so then you will get rid of from this cursor, right? Then you'll going back to the selection tool. Right. Then I'll have another text box. That is going to be department 3. And the VLAN ID is going to be 30. Right. So these are the IP address information of our four departments. I'll give you time till 9:05. I'll give you 5 minutes to type this. Right. Then after that, we'll be going to go with the network configurations. Right. Those who are sitting in the back, I have shared the what do you call the meeting link, so you can just join to the meeting using your phone. Then you can watch that. Right? It's a live one, so therefore you won't be able to rewind, I guess. But if you can't see the screen, then you can open up the meeting link from your phone, and then you can do it, and you can just find out the commands that I'm typing here. You have to use your ESOP email, I guess, in order to log in. Otherwise, it won't work. Right. Okay. So then I'll just zoom this out, and I hope you have typed all these things, and therefore I'll just rearrange it. Right. Okay. So here we have our departments and the IP address information of these departments, right? Then what I'm going to do is so then I'm going to get a couple of switches. Before that, guys, now whenever we have these departments, we have to define how many number of users are there in these departments, right? So let's say in our first department, we have 10 users. And let's say in our department two, we have, let's say 30 users, right? And department three, we have, let's say 20 users. And department four also, we have 20 users, right? So in your assignment also, when you are creating your networks, you have to write down how many users are there inside these departments. So department one, it's 10 users. Department two, it's 30 users. And department three and four, both are having 20 users, right? So when you're going to design your assignment network also, you have to uh, write down how many users are there in these departments, right? Okay. So after that, we can go ahead and take a couple of switches, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on these network devices on left bottom corner. So I'll be clicking on network devices. Under the network devices, I have routers, and right next to the routers, I have switches. So then click on switches. So then when you click on switches, you will be able to see different switch models, right? You will be able to see different switch models. So here I'll recommend you guys to use 2960 switch model, right? 2960, right? So I'm going to get one 2960 switch for my department one, right? You can just drag and drop it on the workspace like this. So now with department one, I'll only be taking one switch. Why? Because I only have 10 computers. I only need to connect 10 computers. But if I take department two, in the department two, I need to actually connect 30 computers. So now if you take this Cisco 2960 switch, it has only 26 ports, right? It has only 26 ports. So therefore, we can't obviously connect 30 computers with 26 ports. So therefore, when it comes to the department 2, we need two 2960 switches, right? We need two of them. So therefore, you have to simply drag and drop two switches, right? We have to take two switches for the department 2, like this, right? Then when it comes to the department 3, we only have 20 users, so that means only one switch is enough. So I'll take one switch here. And for the department 4 also, I'll take a one switch. So when you're going to design your network also, you have to think about these kind of factors. So for an example, if you might have put, let's say, one switch where you have around, let's say, 30, 40 users, that is going to be incorrect network design. So then again, it might even lead to failing your assignment, right? So therefore, you have to identify exactly how many number of networking devices that you have to use, right? So like one, the two, the three, the and at the same time, now depending on the switch model that you're going to use, again your capacities and the other things might vary. Now this Cisco 2960 switch has 24 fast Ethernet ports and 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. So how do you check that? You can just go ahead and click on the switch, right? You can go ahead and click on the switch. Then you can go to the config tab that we have here. So in the config tab, under the interfaces, we can see that we have fast Ethernet 0/1 to 24. Then we have gigabit Ethernet 0/1 and 2. So that means 24 fast Ethernet ports and 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, right? So that means 24 plus 2 is going to be 26, right? So that's how you can check the number of ports that are available on a particular switch model. So I'll just take this switch, this PT switch. So let's see what are the ports that we have there. So I just click on the switch. Then when I go to the config, you can see that we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 fast Ethernet ports. Right? If I have taken the different switch model, then the number of ports that I'm going to have with that switch is actually very less compared to the previous switch model. So therefore, like you have to think about those kind of factors as well when selecting a device. So therefore, I would recommend you guys to use 2960 switch model throughout the semester. Right. Then now this is an extra switch that I have taken. So I'll just click on delete button. Then I'll delete it. Then after deleting it, now I'm going to end up with this delete tool, right? So if you want to get rid of this tool and go back to the selection tool, you can simply press escape button on your keyboard. So then you will go back to the selection tool, or else on the top taskbar also you can just click here in order to get the selection tool, right? Okay, so now we have taken a couple of switches, and then we have what do you call label the IP address information that we are going to use with these devices. So then we'll add some colors, right, to represent these different departments. So here, in order to add colors, you can go ahead and select this option, this rectangle icon that we have here. It says draw rectangle, or else you can just press R button in your keyboard and you can get that one. So we'll click on that rectangle tool, right? Then here what you have to do is, at the moment, if you just draw a rectangle, it's only just going to what do you call, draw the outline. So if you want to add a color to that, you have to click on this fill color within the fill color option, you have just click on the fill color. Then go ahead and select the fill color, right? So here we have different colors, right? So you can just select whatever the colors that you want, right? So then you can just draw some rectangles or shapes around these departments like this, right? So maybe you can use different colors for different departments. So if you ever want to delete something, you can just go ahead and get this delete tool, right? So then you can click on that, whatever the object that you want to delete. So then you can get rid of that, right? So after drawing the shapes, then you can again go ahead and select the selection tool. So then you can actually move these things here and there, right? Right. Okay. So then what we have to do is we have to simply take another Cisco 2960 switch in order to connect this these switches that are belong to these different departments, right? So I'll just take another Cisco 2960 switch. So this is actually going to be our server switch actually. So server switch means this is where we are going to configure all the VLANs and copy them to the other departmental switches, right? So otherwise we have to create these VLANs inside each and every switch. So which is actually going to take a very long time because now in your assignment you will have around I don't know, maybe 10, 15 departments maybe, right? Maybe I think 10 departments or 11 departments per branch, I guess, right? So then you have to, therefore, like, you can save a lot of time, right? Hello, Macha. Oh, give me. That's okay. Hold on, again. මොකටද දෙක්? එල 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 අඩෝ මෙතෙන් ටාස්ක් එකේ මම ඔබට ඉවරලා බල්ලා ගන්න ඔබට මේ මචං ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක නම් මේකට දාපන් ලෝඩ් එකට දාපන් ඌ හදලා දෙනවා chat gpt එක මට yes 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 ඒක මමත් හදුවේ එහෙම ඕ excel එක දීපන් ඔබ rubric එක දීපන් ඒකේ excel එක උඹට හම්බුණාද මාක්ස් ටිකක් තියෙනවා මාක්ස් ටිකක් මචං තියෙනවා මේකේ දිල්ක දුන්නා නේ තව ෂීට් එකක් ඔව් ඒකත් දීපන් ඒකයි ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් තුනයි දීලා ගියපන් මේකේ rubric එකට මුගේ මාක්ස් ටික දාලා කමෙන්ට්ස් ටික දාලා හදලා දීපන් කියලා ඒකට හදලා දෙනවා එතකොට ෂේප් එළනේ අවුලක් නැහැ නේ හරි හරි එළ ඕකේ මචං හරි එළ බයි right. So then just take another 28960 switch like this. So then what we are going to do is we are going to connect these switches with the server switch. So I'll just label this as server switch, right? So I'll rename this as, let's say, server switch. So if by any chance, if you don't have this text appearing on your Cisco packet tracer environment, what you can do is you can go to the options, right? මෙහෙම මේ label එකක් ඇටින් පෙන්නන්න නැත්නම් type කරන්න edit කරන්න option එකක් පේන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයාලට, right? Only if it is not visible, then go to the options, then go to the preferences, right? Then you have to tick these options, show device model labels, show device name labels, and also make sure to tick always show port labels in logical workspace. Just make sure that these ones are ticked. So then you're also going to have the identical interface that I'm using, right? The same identical interface that I'm going to use. Right, okay. So then you can go to the connections. You can click on the connections. You can click on the connection section. And then we have to connect these switches together. So now for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with copper cables. So now since I have to connect two switches together, I'm going to go with copper crossover cable, right? So just click on the copper crossover cable option, right? Select copper crossover cable option. Then go ahead and click on department 1 switch, right? Click on department 1 switch. So then I'm going to use FA0/1, right? Fast Ethernet 0/1 port in order to connect this cable. Don't use other ports, right? Just use the same port that I'll be using because afterward we are going to do some configurations. So if you have used different port numbers, the configuration commands that I'll be typing here will not work with your system, right? So therefore, just go ahead and select fast Ethernet 0/1 on department 1 switch. And when it comes to the server switch, I'm going to connect it to fast Ethernet 0/1 as well. So on both sides, it's fast Ethernet 0/1, right? Fast Ethernet 0/1. FA 0/1 and FA 0/1 here, right? Then again, I'm going to go ahead and select copper crossover cable, right? Then I'll be clicking on the department 2 switch 1, right? Then I'll connect it to fast Ethernet 0/1 and I'll connect it to the server switch. So when I'm going to connect it to the server switch, I'm going to use fast Ethernet 0/2, right? I'm going to use fast Ethernet 0/2. So here it's fast Ethernet 0/1. On the server switch, it's fast Ethernet 0/2, right? Then again, I'm going to select the copper crossover cable option. Then I'm going to click on the department 2 switch number 2, right? Department 2 has 2 switches. So I'll be clicking on department 2 switch 2, right? And there also I'm going to connect the cable to fast Ethernet 0/1. Then I'm going to click on the server switch. So on the server switch, I'm going to connect this to fast Ethernet 0/3, right? Fast Ethernet 0/3. So you can see that on the departments, I have only consumed FA 0/1 port, right? In all department switches, I have used FA 0/1 port to connect these switches with the server switch, right? Uh, So if you have randomly picked these port numbers, then later on when we are going to configure these VLANs and all the other stuffs, this system is actually not going to work properly because then you have to again, what do you call, select the port numbers that you have used and you have to type the commands accordingly, right? So therefore, in order to avoid such kind of issues, I recommend you guys to use the same port numbers that I am using, right? Then again, I'm going to go ahead and select proper crossover cable. Then I'll go with department tree switch. In the department tree switch also, I'm going to go with fast Ethernet 0/1, right? Then I'll, what do you call, select fast Ethernet 0/4 on the server switch, right? Here FA 0/1. On the server switch, it was FA 0/4, right? Then again, I'm going to select another cable and I'm going to connect the department 4 switch. So in the department 4 switch, I'm going to connect it to FA 0/1. And in the server switch, I'm going to connect it to FA 0/5, right? 1, 5. In the department 4 switch, it's FA 0/1 port. And in the server switch, it is FA 0/5 port number, right? Okay. So after typing that, then we can go ahead and type the commands and configure this network, right? Right. Okay. So now we can go ahead and start to configure these switches, right? Uh, so first, I'm going to start with this server switch, which means this switch. Uh, so now, when it comes to configuring these devices, configuring means setting up these devices. You have to use something called Cisco CLI or else Cisco command line interface. It's just like the command prompt that we have in our Windows computers. So now here, when it comes to this particular software, we call that as Cisco Packet Tracer. So that means it is a software that was actually made up by a company called Cisco. So Cisco is a company who develop and design these different networking devices and related technologies, right? So therefore, like when it comes to their platform, we have to use different set of syntaxes and different commands to actually configure these devices, right? So therefore, you have to learn a little bit of these commands as well. Like it's not a programming language. It's just set of syntaxes, right? So therefore, you have to learn those things as well. Okay, so now I'm going to start to configure these devices, and I'll recommend you guys to follow along with me, because if you just miss one line or one command, then it's going to be a problem, right? That's fine. So just therefore, just type the commands with me. And those who just came, I have shared a video link with you guys. So at the moment, I have started a Teams meeting, and that is also being running here. So if you can't see the board properly, I'm going to anyway zoom it up to a certain extent, but I don't think people who are sitting in the back will be able to see these commands and board properly, right? So in case if you are having any difficulties seeing the board, the projector, then you can log into that meeting. So then you can see my screen there as well, right? So when you're going to log into the meeting, you have to use the eSoft email address. Otherwise, you can't log into the meeting, right? So then I'm going to go ahead and click on this server switch, right? Go to the server switch, click on the server switch, right? Then when you go to the server switch, go to this tab where it says CLI, right? CLI. CLI stands for command line interface. So, which means like when it comes to these Cisco devices, you can configure them using two methods, using the GUI and using the CLI. GUI means we can click and we have buttons and these different icons. We can click and we can configure them. But the problem is we cannot configure all the settings. ඔක්කොම ඒවා configure කරන්න බෑ, right? GUI again. So therefore we have to go with CLI or command line interface. Right? So on the CLI. So when you click on the CLI, you'll be seeing something like this kind of a screen. CLI එකට click කරාට පස්සේ මේ වගේ screen එකක් තමයි එන්නේ. So actually guys, these networking devices are also going to have an operating system just like your computers, right? So now here actually it has information about the operating system, its version, and all the other information. Even these devices are having a boot up process, right? Which means whenever you just take a new device, it is actually going to take some time to turn the device on, right? Until it loads the operating system, you are not allowed to do anything. So those kind of things are also there, right? So when it comes to these Cisco devices, they are using operating system called Cisco iOS, not Apple iOS. Like they call their operating system as iOS, Cisco iOS, right? So it also has different versions like Windows 10, Windows 11. Okay, they also have their own versions. So therefore, like when it comes to these networking devices, you have to update their firmwares as well, right? So just like updating your Windows, you have to update these softwares, right? So then what you can do is you can just place your cursor somewhere in the screen and then you can press the enter key, right? You can press the enter key. So now when it comes to the Cisco operating system, we have actually three different modes, right? Now, for an example, when it comes to the Windows computers, we primarily now, when it comes to these lab computers, we have different profiles. We have student profile is there, admin profile is there. Then we have something called exam as well, right? So, but if you take a personal computer, you might be only having one profile, right? Let's say if your name is, let's say, Saman. So in that case, okay, we have a profile called Saman, right? So, and you are the admin user. But if you take Linux operating system, so let's say your name might be Saman, but there's another account hidden in your operating system called root or else admin, right? So with the Linux operating systems, like we have admin account separately, right? Even if you are the only person who's using the computer, still there's an admin account. So therefore, like you might have seen that when people are using Linux operating systems, they are typing this command sudo, sudo, right? So then they are going to give a password and all these kind of things. Why? Because in that case, that's how they are going to actually get the administrative privileges, right? So just like that, when it comes to Cisco operating system, we actually have three levels or three modes that this operating system is actually going to work, right? So for an example, let's say now you have a company and you have three network administrators, right? So let's say first one is an intern, second one is a, let's say, junior network engineer or someone, then we have a senior network engineer, right? So what will happen if all those three people have the same access over your network infrastructure, right? So in that case, even if that intern person can go and do anything that the senior person can do. So in that case, what will happen to the network, right? So I think most of you guys are doing software engineering. So in that case, like whenever you just come up with a new code, let's say as an intern or as a junior a developer, right? They will not let you actually push that code to the running repository, right? So in that case, because if you have done a mistake, then the entire program is actually going to crash. So in that case, the senior person is going to review the code. Then only that person is going to upload that code or push that code to the running repository, right? So until then, it's going to just stay as a branch, right? So therefore, now with Cisco operating systems also, we have three different modes, right? So whenever you see this closing angle bracket, right? When you see this closing angle bracket, we call this mode as uh, user EXEC mode, right? We call that as user EXEC mode. This is the lowest level that we have in the Cisco operating system, right? So here you can just check the time and the device information and status and those kind of things. You can't actually mess up with the network while you are in the user EXEC mode. Then we have another mode called privilege EXEC mode. So in order to go from user EXEC mode to privilege EXE mode, you have to type enable, right? You have to type enable and then you have to press enter, right? So when you type enable and press enter, you can see that closing angle bracket got changed to a hash symbol, right? So now earlier we had a closing angle bracket and now we have a hash symbol. So hash symbol means basically now we are actually in a mode called privilege EXEC mode. So when we are in the privilege EXEC mode, we can actually check all the configurations that we have done to the this particular network device. It can be a router, it can be a switch, it can be a firewall, right? So you can pretty much check all the configurations that we have done to this device, right? So whenever you see hash symbol, it is privilege EXEC mode, right? Whenever you see closing angle bracket, it's actually user EXEC mode, right? Then we have another mode, right? Then we have another mode called global configuration mode, right? So global configuration mode is actually the mode where you can actually do all the configurations, all the mission critical configurations. So in order to go from privilege exe mode to global configuration mode, you have to type configure terminal, right? you have to type configure terminal, right? So here you have to write these spellings properly, otherwise it is not going to work. If you misspell these words, then you are going to get errors. So then OS is actually going to stuck and then you have to wait, right? So if you just type an incorrect command, right, the OS is actually going to get stuck and then you might have to wait for a while. So therefore, when you're typing these commands, uh, better to check your spellings and type them properly, right? So if you can't see the board, you can use the video, ongoing live video, right? That is there. So then you can use your mobile phone. කොහොමද phone එක හොබනින්නේ, right? ඒකේ ඔය වීඩියෝ එකක් මේවා කරගත්ත කියලා අවුලක් නැහැ නේ, right? පේන්නේ නැත්නම් ගන්න, right? I think I can just maybe increase the zoom little bit, right? Yeah, right. So then when you go to the global configuration mode, you can see within brackets we have config and then the hash symbol. So if it is user exe mode, just closing angle bracket. If it is privilege exe mode, hash symbol. If it is global configuration mode, within bracket config and the hash symbol. So those are the three modes that we have primarily, right? User exe mode, privilege exe mode, global configuration mode. So whenever you want to do a major configuration, right? Whenever you want to do a major configuration to the device, you have to go to global configuration mode. So when you're in the global configuration mode, you can pretty much do anything to the device. Then if you want to check what are the settings that you have changed and what are the configurations that you have done, you have to go back to privilege exec mode, right? So while you are in the global configuration mode, you can do any configuration, but in order to check what are the configurations that you have done, you have to go back to privilege exec mode, right? So then how to go to privilege exec mode while you are in the global configuration mode? So you can simply type exit, right? Exit කියලා type කරන්න පුළුවන්. You can type exit and you can press enter. So which means in order to go backward, you can type exit. So right now I am in the privilege exec mode. So if I again type exit here, I'll be going to the user exec mode, right? If I again type exit, I'll be going to user exec mode, right? So when I type that again, I'll be going to the user exec mode, right? So in order to go forward, you have to type different commands like enable, configure terminal, those kind of commands. But in order to go backward, you have to just type exit, right? You can just type exit and then you can go backward, right? Okay. So then we'll create, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the host name of the switch, which means now here in this network also we have a couple of switches now. So whenever we open up the CLI, we do not know exactly inside which switch are we actually, right? So therefore what we can do is we can change this name, right, to a meaningful name, because otherwise all the switches will be having this name called switch, right? So instead of telling switch, we can maybe call this as server switch or something like that, or maybe department one switch. Likewise, we can actually change the name of this device, right? So for that, what you have to do is we have to first type enable, right? You have to type enable, then you have to type configure terminal. You have to type configure terminal, then you have to type host name, then you have to give a name which you want to be used as the host name. So I'll say server underscore SW and colon, right? So when you're going to give the host name, you cannot have spaces in between. Host name make take spaces the end back, right? You cannot have spaces, but you can have underscore, maybe slash, other symbols you can have, but you cannot have uh, spaces, right? So then after that, what has happened, right? Now the switch has been changed to server underscore switch, right? So we have changed the host name of the device, right? So that is how you change the host name. So in that case, that is a essential configuration that you have to do actually. It's not actually going to do anything with the functionality of the device, but when you're going to configure multiple different devices, uh, if you don't have a host name, then sometimes you might type the commands that you are supposed to type in a different switch, in another switch, right? So therefore, you have to think about that as well. Therefore, better to change it, right? Uh, right. After that, now what we are going to do is we are going to create 4 VLANs for our departments. We have 4 departments and we are going to create 4 VLANs, right? So for that, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to type VLAN space, then I have to give a number, right? So when it comes to the numbers, you can actually use any number between 1 and 1000, sorry, 2 to 1003, you can use any number. So I'm going to use number 10 because earlier, when I'm planning my network, I finalized this number, which is number 10, that I'm going to use with department 1, right? So first you have to type VLAN, then you have to keep a space, then I'm going to write number 10, right? Then I'm going to type name space, and then I can write the name that I want to give to my VLAN, right? So when you're going to give the name for the VLAN, you can't keep spaces. Name make the spaces the underback, right? So you can say a name and department underscore, let's say A, right? Department underscore A. So that is how you create a VLAN inside a switch, right? Then again, I'm going to create another VLAN called VLAN 20. Always, guys, when you're going to use numbers with these VLANs, right? Now, when it comes to these switches and the networking devices, they are simply going to rely on this number. So therefore, like if you have used the same number over and over again, what you're going to do is you are not be creating any new VLANs. Instead, you're going to modify the VLAN that you have created previously. For an example, again, if I type VLAN 10, right, it's not going to create a new VLAN. Instead, it's going to edit the VLAN that I have created previously. So therefore, you have to always use a unique number, right? So in that case, like you can use maybe 11, maybe 13, 14. So since I have planned to use 20, I'm going to use 20, right? So then I have to give the name, let's say department B, then VLAN 30. So name is C, right? Then VLAN 40. Name is department D, right? So like this, you can create 4 VLANs, right? And when it comes to these names, right, giving a name to a VLAN is actually not a compulsory thing to do. Name එකක් දෙන එක must එකක් නෙමෙයි, right? So these names are actually for our own referencing purpose. So we are using these names just to recognize these VLANs by ourselves, right? But for the computers, these names are actually not relevant. So they'll just find with the numbers. Even if you don't give a name, the computer will automatically assign a system generated name for these VLANs, right? So, but since it's very difficult to understand them in that way, we have given these names, but these names do not have any they are actually not going to contribute to the functionality of our network. Right. Names දාන එක network එකේ functionality එකට relate නැහැ. Right. So therefore, without names also our network is going to work, which means you can simply type VLAN 10, enter VLAN 20, enter VLAN 30, enter. Likewise, you can type them like that as well. Right. It's not compulsory to give a name. Right. Okay. So then what we want to do is we want to check whether we have successfully created these VLANs or not. Right. So in order to check the VLANs that we have created in the switch, we can use this command, show VLAN brief. Right. We can type show VLAN brief command. So then we'll see what will happen when we press enter. So we got an error, right? Invalid input detected that when it's going to point to one specific part of the code. The reason is, as I told you, when it comes to the global configuration mode, it is just there to do the changes. If you want to check them, what you have to do is you have to go back to the privilege exe mode and type these commands, right? So that is the issue. So therefore, what you can do is you can type exit, exit, exit multiple times until you go back to privilege exe mode, or else you can simply type end, right? Or end. So whenever you type end, and when you are in a position that is higher than privilege exe mode, automatically it's going to redirect you to or get you back to the privilege exe mode with a one single command. Otherwise, here if you're going to type exit, exit, you have to type it twice, right? But this end command, with a one single command, you can actually go to privilege exe mode. So I'll type end and I'll press enter. Right. So now with a one single command, I went back to privilege exec mode. Now I can type show VLAN brief command. Show VLAN brief, BRIEF. Right. Just type show VLAN brief. So then it is going to show you the VLANs that you have created. So after typing that, you can press enter. Right. After typing that, you can press enter. So now you can see that here we have the VLANs that we have created, right? VLAN number is there. So we call this as VLAN ID. So now here it's 10 and the name is department A. And we have VLAN 20, 30 and 40. Apart from that, we have some default VLANs that are actually going to come with our switch, right? So now here you can see that even though we have created these VLANs, right? Still, all the ports, all the switch ports that we have in this particular switch is now belong to this default VLAN, right? So what we have to do is we have to actually allocate them to the relevant departments. So now, in order to allocate them to the relevant departments, now at the moment we only have configured our server switch. Now, at the moment we only have all those VLAN information in our server switch. So what we have to do is we have to copy the VLAN information that we have on the server switch to this department A switch. Then we have two department B switches. then we have department C and department D switch. So we have to copy them, right? So in order to copy them, what we can do is we can actually use a technology called VTP. There's a technology called VTP. VTP stands for VLAN trunking protocol. So with VLAN trunking protocol, we can simply copy the VLANs that we have inside of one switch to another switch. So that's how it's going to work, right? So first we will enable VLAN trunking protocol inside our server switch. Then we'll go to a client switch. Then we'll enable it there as well. So when you're going to enable VTP, there are certain things that you have to know, right? So when it comes to the VTP or VLAN trunking protocol, it's going to work using client server architecture, which means what we are going to do is when it comes to the VTP, when you are going to set up the VTP, we are going to label one switch as the server switch, and then we are going to label the other switches as client switches. So then what's going to happen is whatever the VLANs that we have inside the server switch is going to get copied to client switches. So that's what's going to happen, right? So here in that case, we have our server switch, and then we have our department switches like this. So what's going to happen is we are going to simply copy the VLANs that we have in the server switch to these client switches or department switches. So that's what's going to happen, right? So now when you're going to type these commands, right? If by accident, if you name this switch as the server switch and if you name this as the client switch, all the VLANs that we have traded inside this switch is actually going to get deleted. Means like all the VLANs that we have in the client switch is going to get replaced at the server switch. So therefore, when you're going to label client and servers, you have to be very careful because let's say when you're going to do your assignment, let's say you have created 15, 16 VLANs, and then with the one command, you are just going to mess up the client and server modes. So in that case, if you go and type client on the server switch, and if you type server on the client switch, it's simply going to overwrite all the VLANs that you have created there, right? So there are some students who had that kind of experience as well, right? So therefore, when you're going to configure these things, you have to be very careful, right? Okay, so therefore, first I'll be going to the, therefore the recommendation that I can give you is first complete one switch, then go to the other switch, because sometimes some students are there who are just going to open up multiple switches at the same time and they are going to configure them at the same time or simultaneously. So in that case, there's a higher probability or higher chance that you might do a misconfiguration, right? So therefore, we'll go to the server switch. Right, go to the server switch. Then in the server switch, you have to go to the global configuration mode. Right, in the server switch, you have to go to the global configuration mode. So at the moment, we are in the privilege EXEC mode. Right, so when you see this hash symbol, you know that we are in privilege EXEC mode. So we have to type configure terminal. We have typed configure terminal, right? So after typing configure terminal, what you have to do is then you can set up the VTP protocol or VLAN trunking protocol. So in order to set up it, you have to type VTP, right? Then you have to keep a space. Then after that, we have to use something called VTP domain name, right? Or VTP domain, right? So VTP domain is actually a name which is a case sensitive name, right? For an example, like if I want to copy the VLAN information from this switch to this switch to this one, and this one to this one, this switch, this switch, this switch, and this switch, all of them should have the same domain name, So domain name is actually the piece of information which is going to inform these switches that all of you guys are belong to the same group or same company, right? So this domain name that we are going to use is a case sensitive name. That means if you write the domain name as ABC and if you write it as ABC like, right? So one with uppercase letters and one with lowercase letters. The devices are going to recognize these two words as two different words. Right? දෙකේම තියෙන ABC තමයි, but this is uppercase and this is a lowercase. So in that case, if you're going to use a domain name, you have to stick to one case. Right? You can use a mix as well. For example, you can write it as maybe ABC, right? So in that case, but you have to use the same name in all the devices. Otherwise, these VLANs will not be copying from server switch to the other switches if your names are different, right? So you have to keep that in mind, right? So in that case, I'm just going to go with simple ABC, right? I'll just type BTP domain ABC, right? Then I'll press enter, right? So then it says VTP domain name change from null to ABC, right? Which means earlier there were no any domain name, and now we have set it to ABC, right? Then we can set the VTP mode, right? VTP mode, right? So when it comes to the VTP modes, right, we have three modes actually. We have client mode, we have server mode, and then we have another mode called transparent mode, right? So in this module, you guys will not be using this mode called VTP transparent mode, right? With VTP client server modes, this is what's going to happen. If this switch is going to operate in VTP server, and if this switch is going to operate in VTP mode client, always the VLANs that we have inside the VTP server switch is going to get copied to VTP client switches. That's how it's going to work, right? So that's why I told you if you maybe type VTP client here, mode is client, and here VTP mode is server, all the VLANs that you have created inside this switch will be gone. They are going to get erased. So therefore, when you're typing this client and server modes, you have to be very careful. Then we have another mode called VTP mode transparent, right? So let's say we have three switches, right? Switch 1, switch 2, and switch 3. Let's say this switch is going to operate in VTP server mode, and this switch is going to operate in VTP client mode, and the middle switch is going to operate in mode called transparent mode. So whenever a switch is going to operate in transparent mode, what's going to happen is this transparent switch is simply going to allow this server switch to pass the VLAN information to the client switch through this transparent mode switch. But this switch which is operating in transparent mode will never apply or will never copy the VLANs that are going to provide by the server switch, right? So that's what's going to happen. It's like another drug dealer, right? Distributing but not using. I just like that, right? Right. So therefore, like here in your assignment, you don't have to use the VTP mode transparent, but maybe in if you're going to do network engineering in your upcoming modules, maybe you might have to use the VTP transparent mode, right? So therefore here I'll type VTP mode server, right? VTP mode server, right? You have to type it as VTP mode server, right? Then whenever you want to enable VTP, you have to set the domain name and the VTP mode. At the same time, what you have to do is you have to actually configure the switch ports that we have actually used to connect these two switches, right? So when you take a switch port, which means when you take a port that we have in a switch, right? This switch port actually has three modes. Switch port modes තුනක් තියෙනවා guys. It has three modes, right? By default means when you just take a new switch from the factory itself, they have simply put all the switch ports into a mode called dynamic mode, right? Dynamic mode. So dynamic mode means like this. So when this port is going to operate in dynamic mode, if the other port, right, if the other end of that port is going to, or the connection is going to, let's say, suggest to communicate using either trunk mode or access mode, this port is actually going to agree to that. It's like this. Now you are just going to sit in the class and your friend is going to come and say, Machan, after the break, I can't stay in the class. Let's go somewhere. So then you'll be like, okay, Machan, we'll go. Or else your friend is going to come and tell, Machan, after the break also, we'll stay in the lecture, no? And then you'll be like, okay, we'll then stay. So which means you are simply going to agree to whatever the thing that your friend is going to say, right? So that's what we call dynamic mode, right? Then apart from the dynamic mode, we have another two modes, access mode and trunk mode, right? So whenever a switch port is going to operate in access mode, that port is actually only belong to one particular VLAN, right? When a switch port is going to operate in access mode, that switch port can only receive and send traffic to only one VLAN, right? And when a port is going to operate in a mode called trunk mode, that port can simply access all the VLANs that we have in the switch, right? And it will also receive traffic from all the VLANs that we have in the switch. Like it's like what you call single and married, right? Switch port mode access means you are just assigned to a one VLAN. It's like married, right? Then switch port mode trunk means it's like when you guys are single, right? You can go and you can talk to any girl or a guy that you want, right? So it's switch port mode access and trunk, right? Access can be married, right? Then trunk means single, right? So just like that, which means now here inside this switch, we have VLAN 10, VLAN 20, VLAN 30, VLAN 40, and we have some other VLANs as well. So we want to send all those VLAN information to this switch, right? Not just one VLAN. So therefore, we have to simply change the switch port mode to trunk mode here. And here also, we have to convert that into trunk, right? So that's what we are going to do next. So for that, what we have to do is we have to identify what is the port number that we have used, right? මොකක්ද අපි use කරපු port number එක? Right? The port number that we have used is FA0/1, right? We have used FA0/1 here. Then apart from that, we have used FA0/2, 3, 4, all the way up to FA0/5, right? So whenever we are going to trunk these switch ports, what we can do is we can use a one single command and we can trunk FA0/1. Then we can write another command and then we can trunk FA0/2. Then we can write another command and we can trunk FA0/4, 5 like that. Or else, now since we know that we have to trunk FA0/1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all those 5 ports, we can use a one single command and trunk them all at once. So then we don't have to access the switch afterwards, right? Whenever you go to configure department 2, again, you have to access the server switch and set the changes, right? So therefore, in order to avoid that, we'll just trunk FA0/1 to FA0/5 using a one single command, right? So let's see how to do that. So you can go to the switch, right? You can go to the server switch. Then you have to be inside the global configuration mode. Then you have to type interface range, right? So now what we are going to do is we are going to select range of interfaces. Again, ports keypack select කරන්න හදන්න, right? So here actually when it comes to networking devices and all configurations, we call these ports as interfaces. So network interface means we are referring to a port, in other words, right? So interface range, then you can define the range. FA0/1 space dash FA0/5. So those are the ports that you want to select, right? 1 to 5. Interface FA0/1 to interface FA0/5. Fast Ethernet 0/1 to fast Ethernet 0/5, right? So that's why we have typed interface FA0/1 to 5, right? Then you can press enter. So then if you have properly typed that, you should select the interface range. So when you select the interface range, it says config IF means interface range. So now we are inside the port range that we have selected, interface number 1 to 5. Now what we can do is we have to first set the switch port mode to trunk. So we can say switch port mode trunk. Switch port mode trunk. We want to convert all the switch ports, all the 5 switch ports to trunk mode, right? So that's what we are going to do. Switch port කියලා type කරනකොට හරියට බලලා type කරන්න ගොඩක් කට්ටියට අකුරු වර්ධිනවා. Switch port is a one word. Switch port is a one word. So when you type that, then after that, what's going to happen is you will be able to see that all the ports that we have there are actually going to restart, which means they're going to turn off and turn on again, right? So now we have successfully configured VTP on server switch. Still, if I go to these department switches, still we don't see any of those information, right? Trunk, access, and admin. Right. So with that, we can go ahead and close the server switch. Right now we have configured the server switch successfully. Server switch configure, right? So this is the server switch. I'll be closing it, right? Then I'll be going to the department 1 switch, right? I'll be going to the department 1 switch. So click on the department 1 switch, right? Click on the department 1 switch, go to the CLI, right? Click on the department 1 switch, go to the CLI, right? So when you go to the CLI, you will see some messages that has appeared here. So you can just ignore it. You can just, place your cursor, then you can press enter key multiple times, couple of times. So then first we are going to enable the device, go to the global configuration mode and set the host name, right? That's what we are going to do. So first we'll type enable, then configure terminal. Then host name. Host name will say dp underscore sw dp1 underscore sw, let's say. Department 1 switch. Right. So after that, we'll type VTP domain ABC VTP mode client. VTP mode is client. And then the last thing that we have to do is we have to trunk the switch port that we have here. So here we have used FA0/1. I have, when it comes to department 1 switch, I have used FA0/1 port to connect with the server switch. So therefore, I'll be trunking FA0/1 port. Right? That's what we have to do. So for that, we have to simply type interface FA0/1, enter, switch port, switch port mode trunk. Right. So now you can see we have to do very little work when it comes to the client switches because we have done most of the work at the server switch. So right? All the other switches, same thing. Only thing that is going to change is this host name. Now this is department 1 switch. So it comes to department 2 switch. It's going to be the host name is going to be department 2 switch 1 or department 2 switch 2. Then the remaining commands are same. Right? The remaining commands are same, right? So we only had to type a couple of commands, right? But if you take the server switch, we had to actually type a little lot, right? But here we only have to type very few commands, right? So then just after typing this, don't expect you to have all the VLANs get copied from server switch to this switch. It will take some time to copy, right? It will take a couple of minutes to actually copy the VLAN information from server switch to the client switch. So what you can do is you can either wait or else there's a button which we can actually use to fast forward this because this is a simulation environment, which means this is not a real thing. It is just a simulation environment. So therefore, they have just simulated the timelines and all. So which means like they have a clock and they are going to just simulate the copying and processing times and all these things. If you want, you can just wait. Otherwise, we can skip it. Right. So now if you just take your cursor to the left bottom corner side of your screen, here you'll be able to see a clock and two buttons, right? So don't press this button. So this is what you call power recycle. So that will completely turn off all the devices and all the configuration will be gone, right? Don't press that one. So just press the other button, right? So when you press it, you will be able to see that time is actually changing, right? So with this button, you can just fast forward the time. So which means it is simply going to speed up the syncing time, right? So if you have typed this, right? So if you have typed this, then you can type end කියලා type කරන්න පුළුවන්. Then you can type show VLAN brief command, right? You can type end and you can press enter. Then you can type show VLAN brief. Show VLAN brief. Then you can press enter. Then if you have properly done everything, then you should have the VLANs displaying here that we had on the server switch. right? So you should get the output like this if you have properly done everything. Otherwise, you might have not trunked the ports. You might have not set the VTP modes, and VTP domain name might be incorrect. Those are the problems that you could have, right? Right? Just type this command and see whether you got the output. Right? Okay. So then after that, still we have a problem. Now we are inside the department one switch, right? But you can see still all the switch ports that we have in the switch is being assigned under default VLAN. So what we have to do is we have to simply remove the port, take these ports and we have to assign it to department A VLAN, right? We have to simply remove it from the default VLAN and then we have to assign it to department A VLAN. So let's see how to do that, right? So let's see how to do that. So first you have to go to the global configuration mode by typing configure terminal. Just type configure terminal. Then you have to select the interfaces. Select the interfaces means we have to select FA0/2 to FA0/24. We'll keep the gigabit 2 gigabit Ethernet ports as it is. But for that you have to type another command. I'll show you that one as well. So you have to select FA0/2 to 24. Why aren't we selecting FA0/1? I have FA0/1 gannatti. Because we have already consumed FA0/1 here. FA0/1 වලින් තමයි මේ switch එක server switch එකට connect වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, right? So therefore we are going to exclude FA0/1 and then we are going to select from FA0/2, right? So then you can type this command. You can type interface range FA0/2 dash FA0/24. Then you can type switch port mode access. Now what we are going to do is for FA0/2 to 24, we just want to assign them to department 1 VLAN. So therefore we are not going to keep them in trunk mode. Instead, we are going to put them into access mode. So whenever we put a port in access mode, that port will only be belong to one single VLAN. So therefore we have to say switch port mode access, right? Then we have to say switch port access VLAN 10. Right? Switch port access VLAN 10. So with switch port access VLAN 10 command, we are going to simply tell, okay, FA0/2 to 24. Now you guys are belong to VLAN 10. So that's what we are going to tell with that command, the last line, right? So with that, we are going to assign them to the FA0/2 to 24. We are going to assign them to the VLAN 10. Right? So that's why I told you here, when you're typing the commands, we are not going to use VLAN names, right? Like department 1 VLAN, department 2 VLAN. We are not using those names. Those names are actually not relevant here, right? So we only need those numbers that we have used with the VLANs. So therefore, you have to memorize what is the VLAN 10. Now, VLAN 10 means department 1 VLAN. What is VLAN 20? What is VLAN 30? What is VLAN 40? So you have to know those things. That's why I have typed those informations before we build up this network. Network type. So then we know actually what is the number and to which department it actually belongs. Right? Otherwise, if you don't know it, then it's going to be a problem. Right? So if you have done this, then you can type end and then you can type show VLAN brief and check whether you have successfully assigned the VLANs to the relevant ports. So if you are done with this, you can type end. Then you can type show VLAN brief. You can type end and then you can type show VLAN brief. Right? So now you can see that FA0/2 to 24 are now belong to department A VLAN. Right? Earlier it was belong to default VLAN. Right? කලින් තිබ්බ default එකේ දැන් තියෙන්නේ ඒකට අවිල්ලා. Right? So earlier it was at the default VLAN, but now it has copied to the VLAN 10 or our department 1 VLAN. Right? So that's how you configure the VLANs. So for each department, you have to do this. Right? So again, network එක දවසින් ගන්න බෑ. දවසින් ගහලා submit කරන්න බෑ. Deadline එක හෙට කියලා අද network එක ගහන්න පටන් අරගෙන හරියන්නේ නැහැ. වැඩේ කලින් කරන්න වෙනවා. Right? And pre-planning is really necessary. සමහර කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා හරි මම කෝඩ් කරන්න පටන් ගන්නම් කියලා පැත්තකින් පටන් ගන්න. That's okay, but if you have not properly planned these VLAN IDs, net IDs, and all these things, if your subnetting is incorrect, then later on when we add the IP addresses, you are going to get errors in the CLI. IP addresses are overlapping කියලා එනවා පත errors එක්ක. Right? ඒතකොට ආයෙ configuration මුලින් ඉඳන් සේරම ගහන්න වෙනවා. ඒතකොට බලලා ජීවිතේ පාවෙනවා. හරිද? ඒ හින්දා මේ දැම්මම කරන්න පටන් ගන්න I think you will have around like another 4 weeks to complete roughly. Right? So therefore we'll discuss the assignment as well. Right? So that's why. Right? So then guys, saving your work. කොහොමද මේක save කරන්නේ? Right? So now I told you this is an operating system. I mean these devices are running operating system. So if you just go to file and save, නිකන් file එකට ගිහිල්ලා අර අපි නිකන් document එකක් save කරන විදිහට save කරොත් එහෙම it will not save the configurations. It will save the design. I mean the devices and these labels. These things are going to get saved, but the configurations that we have done here is actually not going to save. At the same time, the codes that we have typed here are going to disappear in a while. මේ මෙතන type කරලා තියෙන codes ටික නැති වෙනවා ටික වෙලාවකින් because this is a console stream. So this console stream is actually going to get cleared out. So in your assignments, you have to add screenshots. So therefore, once you do these configurations, you have to take the screenshots right at that moment. මම පස්සේ screenshot එක දාන්නම් කියලා හිටියොත් එහෙම පස්සේ දාන්න screenshot දාන්න screenshot ගන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඔක්කොම තියෙන්නේ white screen එකක් විතරයි. Right? So therefore, when you are typing the commands, you have to put the take the screenshots and put them in your assignment. Right? So now I'll tell you how to save this properly. And කොහොමද මේක save කරන්න කියලා කියලා දෙන්නම් හරියට. Right? So here in the Cisco packet tracer, you have to save these networking devices one by one. Right? So if you have configured one particular device, what you have to do is you have to go to the config tab that we have here. And then config here. You have to go to the config tab, and in the config tab we have option called save. So when you click the save button, now this switch is saved. Whatever the configurations that we have done inside this switch is now being saved, right? Then we have configured the server switch, right? Server switch configure. So go to the server switch, go to the config tab, right? Go to the config tab and click on the save button. Then finally go to the file and then save it. Then you can save it, right? So that's how you have to save it, right? Otherwise, if you just go to file and save it, you are what do you call this design will be saved, but not the configuration. Again, design ලස්සන දෙන network එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක ඇතුලේ VLAN එකෙන් මොනවත් නැහැ, right? So that's why, right? So you can better to go with save as option, because otherwise it's going to get saved in the C drive. So then you better give a specific location and you can save it, right? And if you're going to use the eSoft computers to do your project work, fine, you can use it. But these computers are running older version of the packet tracer. So therefore, if you have a laptop or something at your home or desktop computer, and if you have downloaded the packet tracer, you might be running the latest version. That program not be run on these laptops. But if you do something on the labs, you can take it home and then you can open it with the newer version, right? Same with my one. So therefore, then class එක තමයිලා ළමයි pen එකක් උස්සන් එනවා. හරිද? එතකොට pen එක උස්සන් ආවට වැඩක් නැහැ. මගේ එක දුන්නට මේ වගේ වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ. Because I have a little newer version and these labs are having little older version. So in that case, won't work, right? So okay, so then you can have the break. After that, we'll configure the rest of the departments.
Two, right? 30 devices. We have 30 devices that go first. So we have two switches. Yeah. So we'll assign 24 ports from one switch to VLAN 20.
Other one also?
Another 20. Like in a work environment, like we assign every port which will have 20, like a certain number.
We can simply assign all the ports. Otherwise, it's a security problem. So in that case, like even though you have multiple ports, you can just allocate them to VLAN to anything. So then all of them is still, even though they are from two different switches, they'll still traffic is going to navigated through one single VLAN.
VLAN don't get going to have like 15.
Yeah. That's okay.
Okay, yeah.
And VLAN can have any number of ports.
Work environment.
Yeah, same thing. Otherwise, we'll shut down them. We can turn them off.
Oh, yeah, we can.
Yeah. So then no one can connect.
Oh.
So otherwise, we are going to let them run, then we have to assign them. Otherwise, these ports might be belong to different VLAN. So in that case, you are going to get connected to somewhere else. That's it.
Like let's say by a Cisco switch, right? Is it going to be like that?
Yeah.
The same OS.
Same OS. Only thing is like you don't have option select CLI blah blah blah. It's CLI only.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Next, we are going to the department 2, switch number 1. So first, I'll be going to that switch and we'll go to the CLI. So we'll enable it. Yes, department 2, switch 1. Department 2, switch 1. This one. Right. Then configure terminal. Then host name. So we have renamed it as department 2 switch 1. Then we'll set the BTP domain. Then we have changed the domain name. Then we have set the we have changed the host name. Then we have set the VTP domain name to ABC. Then we have changed the VTP mode to client. And then we have access interface FA0/1, and we have trunked the port, right? So after trunking it, then you can verify whether you have copied all the VLANs from the server switch. For that, of course, you have to wait for a while. Then you can type show VLAN brief and check whether you have copied them. If so, you can then assign the switch ports to the relevant VLANs.
Hello, Dinay. Oh, one class ini. Iba. Ikut itu mana? Sama tu. Huh? Pages. Huh? Criteria mark करने का मजा वो assignment එකේ නෑ brief එකේ. ඒක තමයි යමන වැඩට කිව්වා. ඊට පස්සේ වැඩට කිව්වේ නැත්තම් අවුලක් නෑ කියලා. පොඩ්ඩක් මැඩම් එක අහලා බලන්න. මම මැඩම්ට කිව්වා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක assignment brief එකේ නෑ. හරිද? brief document එකේ. brief document එකේ නෑ මචං. මම download කරලා බැලුවා ඒක ඒකේ දාලා නෑ. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ අර LO1 LO2 ඒ ඔය කතන්දර එනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ SSS. ඔව්. ඒකේ නෑ. හරිද? එතකොට මොකද කරන්නේ? එහෙම නැති වෙන්නේ. ඒක නැති වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ මචං. ඒ assignment එක හදපු එක අදාළ නැහැ ඒකට. ඒ කියන්නේ. ඒක අපේ කේස් එකක් නෙවෙයි. මම එදා අර කිව්වේ ඔයාලට මම මැඩම්ටත් කිව්වා මැඩම්ට කෝල් එකක් කරගෙන මම කිව්ව කතන්දරේ. ඊට පස්සේ කොහොමද දන්නේ නැහැ මචං ඊට පස්සේ. ඔව්. හරි මම හරි.
Right. After that, you can type in, and then you can type show VLAN brief. So then you can see that we have copied all the VLANs from server switch to the client switch. So then what we have to do is we have to assign FA0/2 to 24 to our department 2 VLAN, right? Or department B VLAN, or else VLAN number 20, right? So for that, again, you have to go to the global configuration mode. Then we have to select the interfaces. So then switch port access VLAN 20. For the department 2 switch 2 also, you have to write the same commands. Nothing is going to change. For the other switch also, now department 2 has 2 switches now. So therefore, on both switches, you have to type the same command. So after assigning it, then you can again type end and then you can type show VLAN brief. And you can check whether the configuration has done successfully. So here, when it comes to the department 2 switch 1, all the ports means FA0/224 should be assigned to department B VLAN, right? So then you can close that switch. We'll be closing the department 2 switch 1. Then I'm going to the department 2 switch 2, right? Department 2 switch 2. So this is the department 2 switch 2. So I'll enable it. Then configure terminal. Then we'll change the host name. department 2 switch 2. My department 2 has two switches. So first we'll enable BTP. So VTP is now enabled. Then we have to trunk the interface FA0/1. So after that, without typing show VLAN brief command, I'm going to straight away assign the ports, and then at last we'll check whether all the configuration has done properly, because anyway now we know that these VLANs are going to sync with the switch. So therefore, like, we don't have to type show VLAN brief here. So instead, I'll just directly assign the ports. Then at the end we'll check, right? So now what I just did was I did not what do you call, type the show VLAN brief command after enabling VTP, because I know for a fact the VLANs has got synced, right? So therefore, without typing that, I have skipped that run, and I have straight away assigned the ports for the VLAN 20, and then at the end we'll type show VLAN brief and see how that is going to work, right? So if we just check the end results, and if that is correct, then we can identify that as the correct configuration. As you can see that when it comes to the department 2 switch also, department 2 switch 2, again FA0/2 to 24 has been assigned properly. So therefore, we can just consider that as done. You need to do this by this week, right? Because next week we'll be configuring the other routing parts and all. So for that, this network is needed, right? Right now, we have
Shalom, shalom, alaikum. Walaikum shalom. It's shalom. The Jewish is flawless.
Right. So then we'll close the switch 2, and then we'll go to the department 3 switch. So in the department 3 switch, again CLI, we'll set the host name and we'll configure VTP. So then after that, you can verify whether the department tree switch is properly configured by typing show VLAN brief. now you can see that we have added all the ports that are there in the department 3 switch to VLAN 30 or department C VLAN. Then finally, we will be going to the department 4 switch. First name part, right? I'll do it. Fine. VLAN, thank you. And 40. So this is the configuration for the department 4 switch. So here the host portion, host name has been actually set at the last because I actually forgot to type that. So therefore, at the end only, I have enabled that one. So after that, we can check whether we have done the configurations properly. So we have successfully configured the VLAN and BTP for the department for switch as well, right? So this is how you have to trade the VLANs and how you have to sync them among your switches, right? So if you have done that, then you can save all the switches by going to the config and then you can click on save, because otherwise these VLANs, VTP, and all the other information that we have saved will be gone after we shut down our computers and when we close the port RAM. So you have to just make sure that you have saved everything. Otherwise, these things are actually going to get erased. Right. So actually what's going to happen is here, when you type these commands, they are being stored in the RAM of these devices. So therefore, like, we have to write them to the disk. So that's what we are going to do by just clicking on that save button. So if you don't save it, you know what's going to happen to the RAM when you turn off the computer. So similarly, all the configurations will be gone if you do not save them. Right, in your assignment also same thing. Like for an example, some students they do configure their network properly and but they don't save the configurations. So when your configurations are not saved, then if you close it, then everything will be gone. Right. So then after that, if you have done that, then you can save it, right? And so that is going to be it for the this week. So I'll share this recording with you guys, right? So here we have a recording. I'll share the recording with you guys. So you can just go home and complete this, because we will not be doing this again. We'll be moving forward with the lessons. So therefore, I'll be sharing the video with you. So you can go home and then you can do this if you have not done this, right? So I can't actually come and check whether all the people have done that, right? So it will take ages to check one by one, right? So therefore, just check whether you have done that properly. If not, do it when you go home, right? Okay, so then that's going to be it for this week, and I have passed the attendance sheet already. Just make sure to sign that, and then you can take your lunch break.